right, party people, we ready to rock and roll? All right, here we go. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, on June 28th. Hopefully everybody's having a great start to your 4th of July week, my favorite holiday of the year. Real quick, two quick shout outs for the group real quick as we start the morning. One, if any of you were able to attend the Tour of America's Dairyland, Toad, I know Heartland had a race right out here in front of the building. There were a couple in and around the North Shore area, and then on Sunday they finished the race in Tosa, downtown Tosa, right in the middle of it. And we had an incredible agent, Kelly Nicolancy, led the volunteer efforts, and we sponsored, Keller Williams sponsored the kids race in Tosa. We had 421 kids race in the race, and each of the 421 kids got a Keller Williams water bottle. And so I wanted to give a big shout out to Kelly Nicolancy and Aletha Champagne and her team, and for the rest of the group that volunteered there on Sunday, to thank them for their efforts. Second person I want to give a shout out to, and this is really a Herculean task, especially this year, because I know what she's been up against. But for those of you who know Katie Hoven, especially those on the North Shore, do me a favor and shoot Katie a note of gratitude and thanks. Katie was the chair of this year's 4th of July parade and festival, which is in downtown Whitefish Bay. And for those of you who've never been to the Whitefish Bay Parade, there's about 25,000 people who show up for the parade in the park. And it is a Herculean task. So Katie Hoven, if you're on, thank you, sister, for all you did and to support and to give back in our community. And both Kelly Nicolancy, Aletha, Katie Hoven, phenomenal examples of what you do and what you give back in this world is what you'll get back in this world. And I know, a lot of people look at it and say, man, why would you undertake such a Herculean task as, the Toad race of organizing 421 kids, or organizing the 4th of July parade for 25,000 folks. But don't get it twisted. What you give in the world is what you'll get in the world. And so big shout out to Kelly, Aletha, and Katie Hoven for their efforts, for their volunteer efforts. And, I think it's an incredible thing that those guys are doing. So congrats, guys. Thank you for all that you do and being great representatives of KW in the community. That was kind of my mission moment for this morning, just talking about, building careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. 3 great examples of our mission statement live in the communities that we all live and work and play in. So shout out to those ladies for everything that they're doing. With that, I do want to recognize a few folks just right off the top. Last week, this actually kind of dropped unannounced to us. Because it's a total third-party entity that does this. But for those of you that are aware of Real Trends and Tom Ferry, they put out a list of kind of like the book of lists. It's called the 1,000 list, and it's the top 1,000 agents across the U.S. They make up it's essentially the top 1.5% across more than 1.6 million licensed realtors worldwide, or nationwide, within the U.S. We were incredibly fortunate across the top 1,000 agents across the U.S. We're blessed by the presence of getting to work with a handful of these folks every single day. And across our 3 locations, we had 2 individual agents recognized and 8 teams recognized across this list. Now, before I start people start shooting darts as to why they were on the list or why they weren't on the list. In full disclosure, we don't create the list, we don't curate the list, we don't develop the list, nothing. This is totally a third-party entity that does this on an annual basis in June of every single year. So with that, I just want to give a quick shout out to a handful of folks. First up, John Molitor of Molitor Properties. Him, his wife, Kiko, their assistant, Sarah, came in at 101 in the state of Wisconsin. They were ranked for individuals by transaction sides. 61.8 transaction sides last year. So John Molitor, congrats on making the Real Trends 1000 list. Next up, Sarah Oberbrunner was recognized as number 61 in the state of Wisconsin for individual volume last year in 2021 at 20.2 million. So Sarah Oberbrunner, congrats on making the Real Trends list again in June of 2022. Next up, JSG came in again. I believe their 6th year in a row is ranked as the #1 team across the state of Wisconsin. One thing I would note for the teams that you'll see here this year, instead of identifying teams as one conglomerate group, they actually recognize teams as mega teams, large teams, medium teams, and small teams. And the way that those were identified was based on the number of agents associated to each team. So JSG was recognized as the #1 sales team in the state of Wisconsin for mega teams, which is 21 plus agents. Next up was Falkgrove and Gallagher was actually recognized as the #1 large team in the state of Wisconsin. Again, how they defined this was large teams was agents associated with the team that had the number of 11 to 20 agents associated with the team. So shout out to the team from Falkgrove and Gallagher coming in at 177 million last year in closed volume, according to Real Trends. Just important note, this is according to Real Trends. Not anything that we pull or curate ourselves. Next up, Stale Realty Group came in as the #4 large team with teams associated to 11 to 20 agents last year, closing just north of 100 million. So #4 in the state of Wisconsin for large teams. Next up was Team Trimble out here in Lake Country, recognized as the 12th, number 12 in sales volume, just under 50 million in Wisconsin for medium-sized teams. So medium-sized teams were 6 to 10 agents. So congrats to Karen, Kathy, Katie, and the rest of the squad on Team Trimble. And next up, Duval Group came in at number 18 in sales volume for medium teams. Again, agents with 6 to 10 teams with 6 to 10 agents on the team with 33.3 million, number 18 in Wisconsin for medium teams. Next up, another Lake Country team was recognized as #4 in the state of Wisconsin for small teams. Small teams are identified as teams that have 2 to 5 agents. So congrats on Gallagher Lake Country's Bruce, Kathy, and the rest of the squad for coming in at #4 in the state of Wisconsin for small teams. And then Amanda Schroeder and her mighty squad was recognized as the 22nd largest team in the state of Wisconsin, coming in last year at a record-breaking year for these guys, 35.2 million, ranked as the number 22 small team according to Real Trends last year. And then lastly, On Point Realty, which is Marcus Auerbach and the rest of his squad. Marcus last year came in as the number 37th small team in the state of Wisconsin. Again, small team defined as 2 to 5 agents. So a lot of people ask questions about this. This actually launched live in the Wall Street Journal. The list of 1,000 was launched in the Wall Street Journal. And actually over the weekend, I was in Colorado Springs with Tom Ferry, Steve Murray, and a bunch of guys who run Real Trends and talked about this list. And this year was actually the most competitive year ever in terms of making it into the Real Trends list. And I think part of that is some of the consolidation that's going on within the industry. But we're incredibly blessed by the presence of these, the 2 individuals, John and Sarah, as well as the 8 teams they call KW home. And guys, congrats on being ranked in the Real Trends 1000 and recognized through the Wall Street Journal. So congrats, guys, on your national recognition that just came out. Awesome. So, I had the opportunity, let's see, last week, Thursday, I jumped onto a mastermind call with Gary Keller. And then on Saturday morning, I jumped on a plane to Colorado Springs. And a lot of it was around what's going on within the state of the industry. And what was actually pretty unique and interesting about the conversations I was a part of this weekend in Colorado Springs is they were with leaders from Berkshire Hathaway and Realogy and Coldwell Banker and Remax and Realty executives and pretty much all the top people within the industry. It's at this conference called the Gathering of Eagles. And in order to actually attend the Gathering of Eagles, you had to have been registered on the top 500 brokerages across the US in order to qualify to sit in the room. So Rick, my dad, and I went out to attend the Gathering of Eagles conference. And it was very interesting as they went through the dialogue and talked a lot about what's going on within the state of the industry. And to a T, whether they were from California, New York, Texas, or Chicago, or anywhere else in the Midwest, everyone, it was almost like a broken record. Everyone said on repeat, the industry has changed in the last 30 to 60 days. The industry has changed in the last 30 to 60 days. In every part of the country, in every part of the metro, every metro market is feeling it right now. And so one of the things I wanted to do is I didn't want to go too heavy on data for you guys today, but I wanted to pull one slide that was shared with us. And this is home sales, projected home sales on an annual basis, month by month. And so I'm going to walk you through this real quick so you can understand the perspective to this, right? Understanding the perspective to this is this. The orange bar is 2020. See, they projected in January of 2020 that they would close, that the nationally we closed 5.4 million homes. By the end of December, we closed 6.7 million homes. Okay. In the next bar graph across this is in purple is 2021. They projected we would close similarly around 6.7 million in January of last year. They closed around 6.1 million by the end of the year. Okay. And then you can see in 2022, they projected we would close about 6.5 million. And then the way this graph works is every single month, they seasonally adjust annualized sales rates, adjust what the annual closed units are across the United States on a macro level. And what you can see here is in January of this year, you can see how this trend line starts to slow down significantly. So 6.5 million was the projected at the beginning of the year. If you scroll forward over here into May, you see here on the light blue graph, they're projecting now around 5.4 million. And I will tell you, having been one of the big things they were talking about at this conference this weekend was they were looking at June pendings. June pendings on a week over week basis this year versus last year are down, depending on the market, but I just looked at this yesterday in Milwaukee. In Milwaukee on a week over week basis, they're down anywhere between 15 to 18% pending versus last year, okay? Pending. So why am I bringing up pendings and why am I bringing up the projections? The projections are, they're now for future forecasting will get to about 5.1 million sales, okay? Pendings are down 15 to 18% across the Milwaukee metro market. Now, what do we know about pendings? Where do pendings show up? Future closings, 30 to 60 days out. So as you start to think about, what do my pendings look like today as I sit here in June and July, where does this future forecast out to? It future forecasts out to what my income looks like in August and September, right? And so with that, I asked a few people to jump on to have a conversation with me as it relates to kind of what they're seeing, what they're feeling, and how they're prepping their business or their teams for the future and what they're planning to do. So with that, I have Bruce Gallagher on the line, I have Lori Soroke, and I have Jay Schmidt, who graciously gave up their time and energy to kind of share with you some of their insights and ideas as to what they're feeling individually, but also how they're driving their business forward, knowing I know that these guys are looking at these statistics moving forward. So Jay, I'll just start with you. You know, first of all, congrats again on the year, I believe number 6 is the top team in the state of Wisconsin. Incredible continued growth for you guys. What is it that you're seeing, feeling, and how is it that you're kind of advising your folks through kind of the current murkiness of the market at the moment?
It's still a great market to have your house listed. We're seeing houses that are in good condition, priced right, getting offers. We're just seeing a little bit of a reduction in velocity or in, when it was in delayed, we'd see 5, 10, 15 pre-scheduled showings. Now we're seeing as it goes live, only a few, but as soon as it goes live, we see a few more showings come in. There's less showings being scheduled. The serious buyers are still out there. And if it's priced right and in the right condition, we're still seeing strong offers coming in.
Jay, I know you're a master of the objection handler. One of the questions that I got when I walked in the room out here in Lake Country this morning was from Katie Sayers. And Katie asked me, how are you handling the objection of the seller who believes their price is worth X, but the market really is determining Y? How are you advising you, your team, and your sellers through that conversation right now?
We make sure and discuss the outliers. So if the comps say it's should be 550,000, but one house closed at 600, we remind that seller that only one buyer in the best market we've ever seen decided to go crazy. So if you're pricing yourself at that one outlier, you've eliminated the market. So price it right. Quite frankly, price it slightly below the comps. We had a condo down in the 3rd Ward, priced it at $1,375,000. The other comp that had an accepted offer was at $1,400,000. And we got 2 phenomenal offers the first weekend on the market in what was supposedly a bad market now because of interest rates. So yeah, I think if you price it at the best comp you can find, you have overpriced your house. Price it below or price it in the median, the meat and potatoes of what those houses are selling for, and it will still going to move. You know, we got a new listing that went live today, and I think we have 8 showings scheduled today. That's still a phenomenal market.
Yeah, awesome. Appreciate it, Jay. Thanks for jumping on and giving up your time. Bruce, how about you? How are you? What are you guys seeing out west in Lake Country? What are you? How are you guys navigating through it? And what are kind of your general feelings and consensus?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. I had to switch over to my phone. The internet went down here at my office out here in the Lake Country. Yeah. Yeah, there is no question. There's been a big shift. The sort of sectors that we're mostly involved in are sort of, I'd say, the middle market, maybe 500 to 800. And then, of course, you know, a lot of the lake properties, you know, million to multi-millions. And so sort of a little bit of two stories there. The lake market is just still minimal inventory from a historical standpoint. The nicer lake homes are still selling, multiple bids. That market has been a little bit eroded here, even I think, such as, you know, private resale have chipped away at the open market, even private.
I think Bruce is having some technical difficulties. All right. So I think what Bruce is saying is it's a tale of the segments of the market that you're in, right? Secondary home market on Lake Country still seems to be somewhat strong, although depending on the price point, you're starting to see some softening. What I would tell you for those who play in the luxury market, days on market are getting longer. So as you talk to your sellers, you have to think about 2 things, right? What's my motivation? Is it time or money? Those are the 2 levers you're going to have to pull. And if they can be patient, be patient. The average home in Waukesha County over $1 million took 74 days to get an accepted offer in the last 12 months. Okay. Kadi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, perfect. All right. Beautiful. I just want to make sure I wasn't the one that was frozen. So we'll get Bruce's commentary, but I think what he was essentially saying is you have to look at the segment and the price point of the market that you're in and then price it effectively and accordingly. But now I'm going to switch over to Lori Stroke. Lori, give us an idea from your perspective. What are you feeling in the market? What are your sellers seeing? And what is the general steps and things that you're taking in order to prepare your business for the future?
I guess I would say that as of mid-May, I mean, I felt it. It's almost like you felt it in the air. It just switched. And that's with mostly listing at that time. And that's because when I had a few homes go on the market, all of a sudden, very few showings, very few offers, had a few that had to reduce price. And I haven't done that in months and years, probably. I think that what we knew now have to do, and I have to say it's a great market still. It's still a super time to sell. Rates, I don't think, make a huge amount of difference right now. People are more picky. I think you just have to prep your sellers and your buyers with, it may not sell on the first day. You still may have multiple offers. We've got to watch. The sellers, you've got to say, you know, you've got to price it in a great area or great price because things are going to sit longer. You may end up having to watch it for a couple of weeks, or you may have to drop your price if we come in too high. I've had sellers say, oh, I think we can go to this range. It's like, not if you want to sell it at the price it should sell at. You really have to prep them and make them ready for the market and tell them it's changed. I mean, I've had discussions with almost every one of my sellers about how the market has changed, and almost every one of them I had listed last month felt it when it hit. They just felt the change. Why aren't I getting the showings? All of that. What I'm doing is I'm looking forward to doing open houses, which I haven't done in years. Doing marketing, a lot more marketing. You got to start pushing forward again, kind of going back to basics of what do I have to do to get the business? What do I have to do to get the listings? And watch the market. I mean, I have listings that come to me in every market I sell. So I see the reductions, I see them get pulled off the market, all of that.
Yeah, I think two things I heard you say. One is, and this has been a very consistent theme, and I heard this actually this weekend at the Realtrons conference, was more of the top folks are going back to the basics. Back to the basics. Open houses, door knocking, their traditional means of marketing, and those sorts of things in order to generate and create their noise. Because for a lot of years, a lot of people have been lead receivers instead of lead hunters, right? There's a big difference between a hunter and a gatherer. And I think that what you'll see coming through this is those that are hunters will be able to be very, very successful as we continue to navigate through this. I think the other thing Lori talked about, and you heard Jay talk about this a little bit, is being proactive in our communication with our clients to help them navigate through the market of the moment so that they're prepared, right? And I think both Jay and Lori reiterated this. Guys, we're still in a great market. You got to remember, if we still close, if the national average gets to anywhere between 5.1 and 5.4 million units closed this year on an annual basis, that would still put us in a top 15, top 20 market of all time. So it's just, once the watermark hits the highest possible mark of all time and people start hearing, oh, things are down 10 to 15, 20%, they're down 10 to 15, 20% off of a historical all-time record highs. And so you have to understand the historical context to say, well, if the national average gets us to 5.4 million closed units in 2022, we're actually still in an incredibly healthy market, despite the pressures and everything else that the media wants to put out there, or what you're seeing or feeling. So I think it's making sure that we're the economist of choice for our clients, because they're getting this information from a source. You want to make sure that you are the source that they're getting this from. Anything else to add, Lori?
I guess one other thing that I found very interesting the last week, actually, is just the amount of other agents from other companies, not even the company I came from, calling, or when I get on the phone with them to schedule appointments, either just going off on how they can't believe the house is still on the market. They thought it would sell in the first day. I don't know what's going on. Or somebody calling to say, so what happened when you sold that house and how did it go? And can you tell me, did the price come out somewhere? I mean, they're all looking for comps at this point, because not everybody knows exactly where it's going to be. And these are top agents. These aren't just, starting agents who have no idea. These are, I think that's really interesting. Again, I haven't had people have to reach out before things sold so easily in the last 2 years. So again, I think everybody's looking.
Time to sharpen our pencils and our approaches.
Yep.
Awesome. Jay, thank you. Lori, thank you. Bruce, thanks for jumping on. We appreciate your guys and your perspectives and your opinions as to what you're seeing and feeling in the marketplace, as we know things are starting to shift and we're starting to navigate through the market of the moment. Having said that too, one of the other things that a lot of people attended recently that I thought would be helpful as we go through this is Jeff Glover's event recently went through 5 steps to 15 more listings this summer. Mandy was there for it and present for the conversation. So we thought it would be beneficial for you guys to hear the cliff notes as to what were those steps. And if you didn't attend, or if you did attend, as a great recap for the event. So Kadi, I'm flipping it over to you.
All right, great, thank you. So we do talk a ton about what the market looks like right now. And one of the things that Jeff started off the day by saying, which I really love, Charlie, if you want to click through, was what we do determines our success, not the market. So it doesn't matter what is happening in the market, what we do, the actions we take, that's what determines our success. We talk about the market so that you can be the expert, but what you do determines your success. So in terms of that, what he's saying is that actions speak louder than words, but your results speak louder than your actions, which I thought was really powerful. So if you're doing a million things and you're not seeing the results, change your actions. So Jeff, who we all know does meat and potatoes, I'm going to even boil it down even shorter. So Charlie, if you want to click through, we're going to go through the 5 things that he talked about. First thing he talked about was all about your presentation skills. He said people more than ever want instant success. Consumers want high level of professionalism. because the amount they are paying has also increased. So with the changing market, sellers are really taking their time. They're interviewing a lot of different agents. So we need to ask questions throughout the appointment to really build that rapport and to build that trust. So focusing on that, he said the golden rule was that 10% of your database used to work with you. He said now it's shifted and it's 8%. Why did that number come down? He said it's because it's really easy for people to click through and find other people to work with. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that our image that we're portraying an image that we're really proud of. He said, does your image match your ideal clientele? Do your materials match your ideal clientele? Does your marketing match your image and everything that you represent? Do your online reviews in turn then match your messaging? And if not, go ahead and reevaluate that and work on your presentation skills. Second thing Jeff talked about was your sales skills. He said people make decisions on how you make them feel. It's always an emotional decision. So how do you make people feel a certain way? It's based on what you say. So everything you should say should make them feel really good about working with you. Ability to manage your time, he said, especially in the morning. He said you have to contact your prospects today through your all available methods, not just the phone. Use texting, use email, PM, DM, you name it. Make sure that you're connecting with your clients. Direct mail, door knock, all of it. He said the ability to close an appointment when you have an appointment available is going to make you sell more listings. He said, ask for the deal one more time than you feel comfortable doing, just one more time. Follow up. You know, we get leads and we say, the lead's not good. The lead's not good. I tried, they're not responding. He said, every time you need to follow up with a lead 9 times before you decide it's not a good lead. He said, the first thing you should do when you get a lead, this was a little technique that he gave us really quick. He said, lead comes in, you call, you text, you email. That's 3 right away. A few hours later, you shoot them an email. That's 4. Next morning, shoot them a text. That afternoon, call them at lunch. End of the second day, send them an email. And then the third day, you're just calling them and sending one last text. That's 9 right there in 3 days. It's not too pushy. The ability to spend time preparing and sending out your pre-listing package. He said that's going to really set you apart and be able to set that expectation of professionalism. Ability to ask for the sale, ability to practice and role play, no matter how good or experienced you think you are. He said the ability to isolate and overcome objections. We heard Jay talking through some. He said listings are won and lost in pricing and how well you overcome their objections. The only time you will get objections is if someone's considering working with you. So the more objections you can overcome, the more deals you'll get. And the ability to start at 0 every single day. I loved that. All right, the third one that Jeff talked about was your messaging and your copy. Always start with a hook and always have a call to action. Have a personal introduction with videos to get more traction. Supporting information, testimonials to have your proof, and then that call to action. The fourth takeaway Jeff talked about was your social media. He said you need to follow a social media calendar to trick the Facebook algorithms. He said your personal profile is where you get the results and the leads, and your business profile is where you're gaining that credibility. So you don't need to do both in both sections. Separate them out and use both for their intended purpose. Don't post haphazardly and always have a plan. I'll share a resource with you at the end of this too. He has an entire social media calendar to just rip off and duplicate. He said, get to 5,000 friends as soon as possible. Every time you log into Facebook, go to the suggested friends and add everyone that isn't a realtor. Promote success stories from buyers and sellers. People love to hear about time saved and money saved, and become a master at video. That was 4. The last one he talked about was your database building skills. This is kind of what Lori was talking about. This is getting back to the basics. This is your job. There's 3 ways to get more business from a database. Add more people to it, add more valuable people to it, and do both of these at the same time. It's very simple, right? Make adding people to your business a daily habit. So he talked about lots of different ways to do this. Do the one that feels like you, whether it's going to events, whether it's farming, whether it's more agent to agent referrals. There's lots of ways to do this. So if you want more of the details on this, I took copious notes. Email me, Mandy Cotty at KW. I'll send you the more of it. But I thought these were the best 5 takeaways. Charlie, if you want to go to the other slide, I just have a few more resources. He shared a bunch of free resources. If you go to gloveru.com, some things he had on there I really liked that I clicked through was his whole social media calendar, his 2022 business plan, and he has tons of scripts. Texting, calling, email, door knocking, you name it, all kinds of scripts. So if you're ready to go and you just don't know what to say, just say what Jeff says. He's done really well. So hope that helps. I got a lot out of it. I love seeing a lot of you guys there. Again, if you need more of the information, just hit me up.
Awesome. Kadi, thank you for sharing those insights. Again, I think I always say this, education without implementation is just entertainment, and you aren't here to be entertained. I thought it was an incredible conversation and meat and potatoes dialogue as it relates to what it is to make you think differently in order to act differently. So make sure you hit up Mandy Kadi at kw.com if you want her copious notes from the event, because education in the way you think is what will help you get through the next current market of the moment as we start to see things shift continuously on a day by day. And having said that, I want to give a little bit of a testimonial as to how this stuff works, right? Mandy talked about the 5 different skill sets and ways in which that you can activate your database in order to gain more business. I'm going to give a shout out to Jill Fink. Jill and I had a conversation last week, and she talked about a closing she recently had. And here was the story. In, I believe, 2019 or 2020, I can't remember exactly, Jill met a client at an open house. She immediately added the client or this lead. She had a lead at an open house, immediately put the lead into her database and followed up through the DTD2 activation model through Bold that she learned in Bold, okay? She followed up with this person for roughly, I believe, it was December of 2018. Thank you, Jill Fink, for clarifying, December of 2018. She followed up with this person for 3 years using the DTD2 follow-up method that they teach you in Bold, right? She was on the precipice, she told me, of completely closing out this lead, archiving the lead from her database and saying, you know what, this is a lead that got away, it got cold, they're not doing anything, so on and so forth. Until this text came in this spring. It said, hey, Jill, my name is blank. My wife and I met you a ways back in an open house. We are starting the process of looking for a new home and selling our current one, and have noticed your attentiveness to send us letters, magnets, etc. since we met. Because of this, we would like to have a chat with you about possibly working with you. Thanks. Jill closed on that lead, 2-3 weeks ago, Jill, and a very, very healthy price point for her. And it pretty much 2.5 times X the market average. It's a testament to the fortune is in the follow-up and being intentional in your systems and models to your lead generation and touching your database, because you never know. No lead is a bad lead. We just have bad agents who don't follow up with the leads, right? So Jill Fink, congrats on that. And thank you for allowing us to share the story of the lead that you secured through an open house in December of 2018. Great, great example and great story of using systems and models through your follow-up, because the fortune is in your follow-up. All right, with that, I'm flipping it over to Steph, because there's some important compliance updates you guys need to be paying attention to help you mitigate potential risk. So what do we got?
Morning, guys. Just a few administrative details to go over this morning. To piggyback onto last week's comments from Charlie about the rise in expired listings, Joni, Kimmy, and I wanted to remind everybody about the extension of listing provision in our listing contracts, meaning anyone who has seen our listings during the time that we had it listed, of course, any showings that happened, any offers that came in, these become what are called protected buyers. And if these buyers come back and circle back around and make an offer on our listing after it expired and was relisted with somebody else, we would be owed that commission. So we just want to remind you guys of the process of putting that protected buyer letter together when you have a listing that expires, and getting it out to your sellers ASAP. So who is a protected buyer? A buyer who delivered an offer, exchange, or option on the property during the term of the listing agreement. A buyer who viewed the property with the seller and expressed interest of the property or negotiated any potential terms directly with the seller becomes a protected buyer. Anyone who attended an individual showing with the agent regarding negotiated any potential terms regarding the property. Only if the firm or its agents deliver the buyer's full name in writing delivered to seller no later than 3 days after expiration of termination of the listing agreement. So that kind of was piecemealed together. But basically, what we need to do is put together a list of these protected buyers. You can grab those from Showing Time. There's a templated letter in our zip forms file in our global templates. You are going to put these buyer names on a letter. If the buyers do not want their names used, or you do not know the name of the buyer, you only have the agent's name, for example, you can use the name of the agent and the firm and the date and time that they showed it to identify the protected buyer. The letter has to be signed by Joni, Kimmy, or I. And most importantly here, the letter must be mailed via USPS within 3 days of the expiration date of the listing date, of the expiration date of the listing contract. And then also, as good practice, we would like you guys to email it out to your sellers as well in a PDF form. But it is only valid if we mail it via USPS. So again, if you have any questions about that, hopefully we're not coming across that too much in our own brokerage, expired listings. But again, we just need to make sure that you guys are aware of this extension of listing provision in our listing contracts, okay?
It's important to note too, because June expired withdrawn listings are up 50% versus June of last year. So twofold, what does that tell us? It tells us there is a tremendous opportunity to be the second listing agent in the transaction. The other thing is as you enter into those agreements, because I don't expect our group to expire or withdraw many listings, as you enter in being the second listing agent, just being aware that protected buyers do exist, and that there is a process in which the previous listing agent can notify the seller of the protected buyer list.
Right. So again, make sure that we want to collect our commission if we're owed it, right? So, and then second thing I want to go over, opportunity submission reminders. So this is lifted directly from our independent contractor agreements. And this is just a reminder that when we have accepted offers, when we have listing paperwork drawn up, we need to submit this within a timely manner to Kimmy for compliance review. So all accepted offer paperwork and all new listing paperwork must be submitted within 7 days after acceptance, including short sales and secondary offers. So I just want to point that out, that even though there's a potential that those offers won't go anywhere or become primary, or it might take a long time for them to close, in the case of short sales, we still need to get that paperwork submitted within 7 days. Late submissions, we are fining at $100. If the deal closes without submission and the final approval agent is fined $300. In the event of repeat offenses, 3 or more, an agent may be required to utilize the transaction coordinator services for up to 12 months to ensure compliance. So sending you guys off to Miss Renee over at Focus. And then just a reminder, all these fines, we're collecting these for KW Cares. So it's not like we're pocketing this money. So just wanted to.
And for full transparency, Steph, I actually texted Kimmy yesterday and asked her, because we have started to notice some sloppy activity as people have gotten into the summer and they've just gotten lazy. She has not fined anybody in the last 6 months. This is more so just as a reminder. Kimmy always leads with education, but there are some people that force us to do some things that we really don't want to do. And then the best part is they're just funding future education, scholarships, and everything else for the rest of the group. So know that it's not something that we don't like to rule with a stick at all. It is not who we are or what we want to do. But repeat offenders, we just have to understand, like, sometimes, it's like parenting. Sometimes your parents don't get the lesson in all of it. So sometimes you have to make some hard decisions. But just wanted to make sure that we're reminding the group, despite the summer selling season, want to make sure that we're getting our stuff in on time. Yeah. So trust funds, Steph. Why do these guys need to pay attention to trust funds?
Trust funds. So we would love to have, this is the easiest way for submitting earnest money, safest way for submitting earnest money by far. So if you have a buyer accepted offer on a listing, we as the buyer's agents will initiate the earnest money deposit via trust funds, and that is all through MLS. A reminder, listing company holds the earnest money. So next slide, Charlie. You need to know where to go to initiate a trust funds deposit for our buyers. You'll go directly to the MLS data sheet, find the tab for trust funds, click the trust funds link, and then it will bring you to another screen to select the designated trust account holder. Again, 9.9 times out of 10, it's the listing firm that holds the earnest money. So you're going to pick listing broker. I'm just reminding everybody about this because a lot of agents will pick our own firm, even though we have the buyer, and it could be a co-broke firm that is the listing company. So again, you're always going to choose the listing firm here. And then this will prompt a email to your buyers to finish the process. It's a $5 fee for buyers to use trust funds, but again, most convenient way, safest way to deliver funds. And I know that Charlie has more comments about just wire fraud in general and safety.
Guys, here's what you need to know. We're right now about 50% of our transactions are using trust funds. Here's what you also need to know. Wire fraud is the #1 risk that we face in our business today. I talked to Craig Haskins, who owns Knightberry Title, says he deals with more wire fraud cases than he would ever care to deal with. And these are real cases where people are wiring hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes earnest money, 10,000, whatever it may be, to the wrong place. And it's near impossible to get it back once it's gone. The easiest way to mitigate that, utilize trust funds. The other way this shows up is you have a buyer who, let's say, lives in Atlanta, Georgia, and is buying a house in Wauwatosa. The buyer says, hey, no worries, I'll send my earnest money in through the USPS mail, right? They're gonna send a check in through the mail, it shows up at the office, and what happens? The buyer's check gets duplicated through the mail. You'd be shocked at how easy it is to do. But the buyer's earnest money check gets duplicated, their account gets hacked, and all of a sudden they're noticing thousands of dollars of checks going to all these random places all over the US. The reason why you use trust funds, it helps mitigate wire fraud, and it helps mitigate the USPS fraud situation that is occurring on a very regular basis. So the fact that we have only 50% of our transactions are utilizing trust funds, I think it would behoove you and to act in your fiduciary at the highest level to protect your buyers' interests and to mitigate that risk for them by helping educate them on why trust funds is important for you and your reputation. Because here's what I know. If a buyer's wire gets either hacked, if their check gets duplicated, if they send $20,000 to someone over in, I don't know, New Zealand, right? Who does that come back on? The experience they had with you as an agent. And you don't want to open yourself to the opportunity for a bad taste in your mouth for future business because of something that was completely out of your control. So I encourage you, utilize trust funds. It's a great way to mitigate your risk and mitigate your buyer's risk as well. All right, Vranik, finishing it up. Tech Tuesday, your one-stop shop for all things. What do these guys need to know?
Yes, you guys, I just wanted to take a few minutes to remind you all of our kwrealtymke.com website. So this truly is a one-stop shop for everything Keller Williams Milwaukee. So not only will you find the office rosters, so every single location, North Shore, Innovation, Lake Country, if you're looking for an agent, our entire roster, names, email addresses, phone numbers are in here. If you need a scheduled conference room, this is make it easier on Willis and Jackie and schedule a conference room. Make sure if you need 2 rooms that you are scheduling 2 rooms as well. And so it's right at the very top, reserve a conference room. So Charlie, do you mind if I actually share my screen and walk through this?
Rock and roll.
All right. Let's do it. The Chrome. Do you have it on here? Let me, oh, Thank you. All right. So KW Realty, MKE.com. Let me make this a little bigger here. So here we go. So you'll see right at the very front, the homepage, we also have our training calendar. So if you're looking for the team meeting Zoom link, all you'll have to do is go to the website, and every single Zoom link is on this training calendar. So you can click it here. You can download the monthly training calendar. You can also, this is where you're going to add the Google Calendar link. So if you want to add every single training to your Google Calendar, you can do so by clicking on this button, and then that's going to open up the calendar. And what you're going to do is click on this little plus button, and that's going to add the entire training calendar to your own Google Calendar. It's nice because you can toggle this on and off as well. So if your calendar is getting a little messy, you can always toggle this off. So just wanted to point that out because that's helped me in the past. So that's one thing that you can do here. So let me get back to the sites. The other thing here too is under resources, we also have an entire list of resources. So if you're looking for the latest lore report, if you're looking for, again, office rosters, earnest money protocol, if you need a Keller Williams logo, these are all going to take you to a Google Drive folder where you can download those logos. If you need to schedule a one-on-one tech or marketing meeting with myself or Kathleen, we also have new agent resources. So listing and buyer checklists. If you have your very first listing or you're writing your first offer, these are going to be great resources for you to go in here and utilize. We also have our miscellaneous forms. So if you're looking for the North Shore or Lake Country W-9s, the KW referral forms or commission reduction, these are all located in here as well. Again, reserving a conference room, it's by location. So North Shore, Lake Country, and the TOSA office are all in here. And it's super easy to go in, reserve a conference room. Again, make sure that you're reserving 2 rooms if you need 2 rooms. If you need to order yard signs, and we also have the entire marketing concierge. So we rolled out the listing presentation a few weeks ago. And if you are interested in signing up for this, this is where you will find it. So you can either hover over the navigation here and you'll see listing presentation. Otherwise, if you just click on marketing concierge, this is going to give you the entire list of materials that you can place an order for. So here's the listing presentation. We also have the 12 direct postcard campaign. So if you're looking to send out some local information via direct mail, this is where you can sign up for that entire campaign to get access to those resources. And one final thing and reminder is we also have our Keller Williams Milwaukee YouTube channel. So this is where every single recorded Zoom meeting or training it was going to be. And so make sure that you go on here and you subscribe. You'll get notified of any new videos that are added. But this is where you'll find all of our contract training. Every single Monday, Steph and Joan put on some really great contract trainings. And so those are all recorded. You can search by playlists, which is really nice. So if you're looking for compliance in command, if you're looking for our past team meetings, some past launch or productivity coaching, tech and marketing training, they're all located on our YouTube channel. So guys, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and don't forget to bookmark the KW Realty MKE website as well. That's all I got.
Beautiful. Lindsay, thank you. Appreciate it, guys. There's tons of resources that we've consolidated all into one place for you to ensure that you have everything you need in one place, easily and accessible. Anything you need, if you need help, don't hesitate to reach out to myself, Deej, Mandy, Josh, Wooten, Britt, Sid, Lindsay, and the rest of the team. We're here to serve you, to mitigate or to help you make things easier. All right, wrapping it up. Upcoming training and events. What do you guys need to pay attention to? Here's what I know. MegaCamp's coming up. They don't call it Average Camp. They call it MegaCamp. I also know this. Across KW and Milwaukee, there's over 500 million in closed production already registered and planning on attending MegaCamp in Austin, Texas. It's pretty compact. You fly in Monday night, you leave Wednesday morning. It's a full day Tuesday, half a day on Wednesday. You can find the agenda on the MegaCamp website. But if you want to be a part of the 500 million in closed production who's attending MegaCamp, not Average Camp, make sure you register. Few other things to know, because a few people have asked. There is the opportunity to book hotels within your confirmation email right here at discounted rates. They offer discounted rates at a much cheaper rate than they do on the public market. So if you're wondering about where to stay or what to do, there is a large conglomerate of people that have booked rooms already at the JW Marriott. So if you're going to plan on attending or you're interested in going, take a look at the JW Marriott. And I always recommend pairing up with a person. It helps you pare down on the expenses from a hotel standpoint. As it relates to airfare, we have found a great flight that, again, around 10 people have already registered and booked for out of O'Hare direct to Austin. You can see here the times, 11:05 on Monday, gets into Austin, and then it leaves Wednesday afternoon. You're home by Wednesday evening, back into O'Hare. About 10 to 15 people have already booked this flight, and it was only $289, I believe, round trip, utilizing this flight out of O'Hare via Southwest. Bags fly free on Southwest, so save your money there. Anyways, so there's your MegaCamp information as it relates to logistics. If you're still considering making the move, I'd highly recommend it. Again, it's not Average Camp, it's MegaCamp. Big shout out to a handful of folks: Cindy Cook, Rona Jones, Reggie Fleming, Jason Rupp, Brooke Finnegan for Accelerator graduates who graduated a few weeks ago. Just note, guys, we're taking the month off in July from an Accelerator standpoint. We're also looking at tweaking a few things as it relates to Accelerator, and that will be coming back in the month of August. So if you're looking to jump into Accelerator, stay tuned for the registration for August. There you go, June training calendar. It's a little light this week as we head into the 4th of July holiday, but a few things to note. On Friday, June 29th, it'd be Wednesday, June 29th. Paulie at 10 a.m. is doing how to show homes and what to look for. Similarly, as a follow-up to what Gail Zeman and Joey Carini did, there's the address, 3002 South 93rd Street in West Dallas. So if you want to join Paul and go to the nuts and bolts of what to look for and how to advise your clients, he is hosting that on Wednesday, June 29th, not Friday, July 29th. So we'll get that fixed. July training calendar, we'll get this sent out to the group. Pay attention to your emails, or you can catch it on kwrealtymke.com. And as well, we have 32 people already registered for Ignite, including people who have been in the business for many, many multiple years, but they find value in learning from this incredible group of folks that are willing to pour back and give of their time and talents, because the way you sharpen your swords is through diversity of thought and diversity of action. So if you're considering Ignite, there you go. Snap a pic of the QR code and get yourself registered. 32 people are already there. If you're thinking to yourself, man, I really need to rebuild the foundation of this business or start building the foundation of this business, make sure you check out Ignite in the month of July.
Charlie, how much does Ignite cost?
Yes. Go ahead.
How much does Ignite cost?
Oh, it's free. Thanks, Cotty. Free, 0.00, free. So Ignite is free. So lastly, save the date. James Shaw, who leads the Pivot Shift Ahead page, phenomenal resource and a phenomenal instructor. Again, gets to the meat and potatoes of it, is coming into the Milwaukee market on August 10th for a full day of training from 9 to 3. So let's say you can't make MegaCamp, but you want to be a part of a similar experience, attend the James Shaw training on August 10th from 9 to 3. There you go. Register there with the QR code. If you don't know how to use a QR code, open up your phone, snap a picture. The picture will send you a link to a website. Boom, 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 da-da-da-da-da-da. All right. That's what I know. Guys, reminder, next week is 4th of July. Be safe, be smart, make good choices. I would love to see you all back in the month of July. If there's anything that goes wrong or haywire, call me, text us. We're here to jump in to help you and support you, but please be safe over the 4th of July holiday. My favorite holiday of the year, mind you. And also as a reminder, there will not be a team meeting next week, Tuesday, July 5th. So no team meeting next week, Tuesday, July 5th. Awesome, guys. Thanks for showing. The world is run by those who show up. Thanks for showing up. Have a great week. And anything you need, hit us up. Thanks, guys.
And as we're switching over, we're going to switch over to Meetup. James Shaw, you guys, I'm professional.